All right, guys, welcome to one more session on Azure Administrator. Let me show you the agenda for this particular session. Here, we'll try to understand today something called as Azure Resource Manager. Okay, we'll try to understand what is Azure Resource Manager. They also refer it as Azure Resource Manager templates. And then by using this Azure Resource Manager templates, we will create resources. We will create resources like a storage account. We'll create resources like virtual machine and virtual network by using these templates. Okay, we'll do a lot of things like in storage account. We'll understand how to create multiple storage accounts at the same time, and we'll also use something called as parameters, etc., etc. Okay, but the basic agenda is that we'll understand about resource management. Now, to understand more about Resource Manager, let me create a shift to my Azure console. Let me create any one of the resource on the console and show it to you how it actually creates any resource. Then I'll explain you more about it. Now, let me go to Azure Storage. Let's say storage accounts, and let me create one storage account. Okay, let's go here. I will choose the subscription as Visual Studio subscription and the resource group as lab, and I'm giving it the storage account name as my storage account for demo. Okay, and I'm choosing LRS as the replication. Now let's say review. Okay, and it is running the validation. I'm choosing something called as create here. Now let us observe when we choose create what it is doing. You see here, remember this, it is basically doing a deployment. Let me click on this. Now if you see here, it is saying deployment is in progress. What is the deployment in progress? If you see, it has actually created a template. Okay, this template has schema, content version, parameters. Okay, and it has storage account name. So these are all like what are the things that we have given. I have given a location, right? I have given account type, all these things. So basically what it is doing, it is creating some template. So let me explain one thing here. Let me go to my whiteboard. So basically, let's say if this is Azure Cloud, on Azure Cloud, I can create resources by using Azure Portal. We all know that. Okay. And we can also create resources by using Azure Command Line Interface. And we can also use create resources by using Terraform or Shell script. Okay. There are multiple ways how we can do that. So when we do either by portal, either by CLI or any other means, what happens is that there is this Azure Resource Manager. In short, we call it as ARM. Okay. So you actually submit to ARM, either CLI or shell script, whatever it is. You tell ARM, hey, this is what you have to create. Then what this ARM will do? ARM will create that JSON templates and then executes on the Azure cloud. So now what we are learning is that how to create this ARM template directly so that we can do lot of automation. We can also do infra automation with this. So if I have to create a storage account, now I just showed you it has created a template. That template is nothing but called as ARM template. ARM template is called as Azure Resource Manager template. If I want to create a virtual machine through CLI, okay, I will give some parameters, some command. What it will do? It will go and create a ARM template, and that is actually executed on the Azure cloud. So that means however you want to manage Azure cloud, it has to happen through Azure Resource Manager templates. And Azure has given a lot of templates. We can use that also. But first of all, let us see what is this structure of this Azure Resource Manager template. Okay. To work with this, basically you have to install couple of things. One is called as, first of all, you have to install Visual Studio. Okay. This is an IDE, Visual Studio IDE. You can install that. And I already have it on my laptop. But if you guys don't know how to do that, it's very simple. Let me take you guys to Google, select option, install Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now, the first option, code.visualstudio.com. So, based on your operating system, if it is Windows, Ubuntu, Mac, whatever it is, just select this. And it is a very, very lightweight software. Okay. It will not take more than 10 seconds for this to be downloaded. Okay. Now, once it is downloaded, okay, let me go to my Visual Studio Code, type in Visual Studio Code, and then open that. All right, now I already created one folder on my laptop. The folder name is ARM template. Let me open that. Open folder. So I want to put all the code in that particular folder. Now let me go to my E drive. In that I have a folder called as ARM templates select folder. Okay, now whatever you create here, it will automatically stores in that particular folder. Now you see there is something called as extensions here. Now first thing, click on these extensions. Okay, so type in ARM. Okay, it will show you something called as ARM Resource Manager. You have to install this extension first on the Azure Resource Manager. Okay, or else you can also install Azure. Okay, you can also install ARM Viewer. Okay, let me just put ARM. Yeah, this one. Okay, templates viewer, ARM parameters generator. We can install this particular extensions before we start working. Okay, let me go here. Now, first of all, we should also be able to connect to the Azure from this Visual Studio. Okay, how will we connect with that? Now, there is a syntax to connect to that. We can use connect hyphen az account and enter. Okay, it is opening my Azure console here. Now, it is saying that authentication complete. You can return to the application. Feel Please feel free to close the browser. Now, if you are doing it for the first time, it might ask you for your username and password. Give your username and password. Now, basically, what I did was from this Visual Studio Code, I am connected to the Azure cloud. Okay. Now we can see that. Let's say, let me run some commands here. Um, Let us run a simple command here which says, let's say, az account create. Okay. Um, Let me give hyphen name new rg from CLI hyphen location. I have to give a location. Let's say the location is east west. Okay, and then enter. The term az is not recognized. Okay, that is actually Azure CLI command. Let me do one thing. Let me create a PowerShell using PowerShell script. Let's say I'm creating a new resource group, okay, under this location, and the resource group name, let me give the resource group name directly here, my new resource group, enter. So basically I'm running this PowerShell command from my Visual Studio Code. Okay. Now if you see, it has told me that it created a new resource group called as my new RG. This one I ran from my Visual Studio Code. Let me go ahead and check on the portal whether it is created or not. Let's go to Azure portal. Let me go to resource groups. Let me refresh that. You see, this my new resource group, it is created in North Europe. Clear? So this is how we can work or run the commands from my Visual Studio Code. It is a IDE that is designed to work. Now, to work with ARM templates, it is very, very, very easy. The first and foremost thing, as I told you, go to the extensions, go to Azure Resource Manager, okay, and then install it. After that, the first step is run this connect.az account. Okay, sometimes you'll get error that you're not able to connect. There's a CMD error, etc., etc. If you get that error, okay, what you need to do is that you need to run this syntax, which is called as install module hyphen name az hyphen scope current user repository ps gallery force. Okay, make a note of it. So if you get this error, if you get the error saying that your command line is not installed, it is not able to understand az connect, etc., you have to run this, then the system will understand. It will install the modules for Azure Resource Manager. Okay. Once it is done, let me go here. Let's say there's a ARM templates. You see, there's something you can create something called as new file. Now let's say Azure ARM templates are in the form of JSON. Okay. Now let's say I want to create a file. I give a file number, a file name, dot. The file should be in JSON, right? As soon as I gave JSON, you see, it is showing something like brackets. Now, what is a JSON template? Everything inside a JSON you have to write in a curly brackets, and it should be there in a form of a key and value. Okay, everything in JSON should be in the form of a key and value. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Let's say if I want to give a name to the storage account, then the key is storage account, and the value is the name of the storage account, my new storage account, something like this. Everything in the JSON should be in a key value pair. Now, let's say once you have downloaded this extension called as ARM. Okay, once you download the extension ARM, this will give very good intelligence for you to develop the code. Like, let's say I'm just typing in ARM. Okay, then it is saying that it is showing us multiple options. So the first one, it is saying that template, Azure Resource Manager template. Let me go here. So this is actually giving me a empty template. So which has, so the template has multiple things. One is the schema from where these deployment templates have been, you can download. Second one, content version. What is the version? Third one, we can define parameters. What is a parameter? We'll look into that in some time. Third one, functions, variable, resources, and outputs. So these are the 7 options that we have when you want to create Azure Resource Manager templates. Now, out of all this, I want to create resource, right? Resource means what? It is like a storage account. It is like a virtual machine. It is like a load balancer. All these things, we call it as a resource for us. Now, I don't want to use any of this. I just want to create a simple resource, and then we'll try to understand other things. Now, the first of all, I want to create a resource. So now you see the resource is there in a square brackets. Enter into this and click on enter. Now here also I'll try to type in ARM. Now here it is showing me what all resources it can create. Okay, there are a lot of them. We'll come to that later. So first of all, I want to create a resource by name storage. ARM storage. You see, there's something called a storage. Or if you scroll down, yeah, do you find something like storage? Okay, I'm just seeing if there is any other option. Okay, let's say go to storage. Okay, so now it automatically given me a code. What is the name of the storage account? The name of the storage account should be unique, right? Now let's say I am giving the storage account name is my new account demo ARM. Okay, that is the name of the account. Now what are the other things that is mentioned here? What is the replication? When we actually create a storage account, we need to mention the replication, right? The replication we have mentioned it as premium LRS. Okay. Now let us go and look into the documentation of Azure. Let's say Azure ARM template documentation. Okay, now let me go to this Azure website. Let's say quick starts, or let's say go to overview, templates. Okay, let's say storage. Now let's say storage account. Now if you see the template here, okay, you see template here. So basically you can create this multiple ways, right? Let me go to template. If you see the template, it will show us, it's not showing here. Now you see, so there is type, there is name, location. These are the mandatory components. Okay, I need to give a name, right? That is 100% sure. And I need to give a location. I need to give a what is the a replication method. Okay, there are a lot of other options also. Like, let me go to this portal again. Let me go to storage accounts. Okay, let me select this option called as create. Now, what all I'm giving here? I'm selecting my subscription and resource group. I'm giving a name. I'm selecting the region. I'm selecting the redundancy. Rest all I'm leaving it as default, right? The same thing if I go here, I'm select giving a name to the storage account name. Okay, I'm saying create storage accounts. Okay, I'm giving a display name and I'm telling the resource group. Okay, resource group I used a parameter here. I'll explain what is that in a minute. And I am giving a what is the replication method. Okay, so this is simple code. So I didn't develop any of this code. I just used the intelligence of this Visual Studio. Let me show that one more time. Okay, I'm deleting all this here. Okay, just I typed in ARM. It is giving me the what is the template that you have to use for ARM. This is the template. I want to create a resource, so I went into the resource. Again, I used ARM. So we can create any of these resources, but I want to use a resource by name storage account. So let me go to storage here. Oh, come on. Okay, and it give me that it gave me all the default values I have to select. All I'm doing is that I'm changing the name of the storage account. Let's say my new account for demo ARM. Okay, I choose the random name. All right. Okay, everything defaults I have chosen. Now I have to run this. So now, if you guys remember, when I ran, selected the option in portal create. Okay, let me create that one more time. Okay, if I select this some default values, if I select some values, let's say I'm selecting the resource group as lab, my new demo for some random name. Okay, and LRS. Now let's say review, and I'll also give a create. Let's say create. Now you see it is saying that initializing deployment and submitting deployment. That means once we choose all the mandatory components, it is creating this template here, that is submitting a deployment. Okay, there is parameters file also. We look into this, what is this parameters file in some time. Now let me go to this Visual Studio Code. Now I also have to do the deployment of this code, right? Now how I will do the deployment of this code? I am creating a simple PowerShell file here. Okay, in the PowerShell file I have declared one variable. The variable is rg. I'm saying create something called as new demo 1. Okay, and then I want to create the name of resource group as demo 1. So first of all, if you want to create a storage account, I need to have a resource group, right? So if you already have a resource group, we can directly mention the name. But here in this PowerShell, I'm running a command called as new AZ resource group hyphen name RG location North Europe hyphen 4. So basically what it will do, it will create a resource group by name new demo 1. Okay, so now whenever I use $RG, it will take the name as new demo 1. This is how you declare variables in shell scripting. Now it has done a deployment, right? Now to do a deployment by using the shell script, the syntax is new AZ resource group deployment hyphen name. Give a name to the deployment. Let's say I'll give the name as new deploy 123. Okay. Where you have to do the deployment? You have to do the deployment in the file called as RG. And what is your template file? My template file, I created a file by name sjson, right? Let me give the file name as JSON. That is my template file. Okay, let me save this file. Save is done. Now let me run this storage.ps shell script. So in this script, there is this template file. Okay, let me run this. To run this, we can just uh, uh, see our file is there. Where is this? It is there in this location, right? Just give a dot and storage.ps1. That is the script file. So it is there. This file is there in this location called as ARM templates. If it is not there in this location, you have to give the path of this file and just select enter. Now what it will do? Okay, there is some error. Let's see what is the error. It is saying that invalid character. Let's check our code one more time. Think our error is there in this particular file. Let me go here. You see it is showing some error. What is that? Let me create this again. If you see there's something red, that means there is some error. Okay, let me create this. Let me go to resources. Okay, now you see there is no error. I think we made some syntax error before. Let me save, okay, and run this again. So because that file has an error, it was not able to run that. Now you see there is no error. That means it is not showing any errors. Let me run this now. So let me go here so you'll understand. So basically first it has created a resource group, my name demo1. Now it has to create a storage account in this demo. Okay, it is creating storage account. Let's wait for a moment. Okay, it's still executing the code. Let's wait for a minute. Now, if you see here, we are able to create a storage account. It is showing successful. The deployment name is this. The deployment is successful. Now let us go ahead and see whether that storage account has been created or not. Okay. What is the name of the storage account that I have given? This new tor gor. Okay, this is the name that I have given. Let me go to my Azure portal, and then let me go to storage accounts. You see, now this storage account is created. Okay, that is how we can create resources by using Azure Resource Manager templates. Okay. Now let us see couple of more things. Like let's say every time if I have to create another storage account, can I run this file again? It will not run, right? Because every storage account should have a unique name. Let's say I want to I want this template to ask me a new storage name. That's it, account name. Okay, everything it has to take by default. Then we can use something called as parameters. Okay, we'll understand what is parameters, how to give parameters now. Now you see there is this parameters here. Now just put a enter there. Okay, now you have to give a name, what parameter that you're going to create. Let's say I'm going to create a parameter by name, and we can describe what should be there in this particular parameter. How should we describe that? You see, it is showing it should be there in a flower bracket. Now again, this should be like kind of key and value. Let's say I'm giving something called as type. You have to mention the name, right? I'm saying whatever name that you're mentioning, it should be in the form of a string. Okay, and if I give a two-letter word for a storage account, will it take it? It will not take, right? So let me mention a minimum length. Okay, minimum length. Minimum length I will give it as 3. That is fine. So if you're giving minimum length, let me also give max length. Okay, you see the cursor itself is suggesting you. Let's say max length, I'm putting it as 27. Okay, and then we can give a lot of other options. Let's say I want to give something like a metadata. Okay, metadata, again I want to give a key value pair. I'll say what is the key, I'm giving it as description. Okay, now the description is, I'll just give it as unique name. Okay, now if you see, I have created a parameters for this particular file. Okay, so in parameters file, I have created one parameter. So now this parameter is for which resource? So I don't want to use this name, right? So here, what I have to give under resources name, I want to take from this parameters. So I want to use this parameter here. How can I use this? Very simple. I can just give a square bracket here. Okay. Let me remove this. What is the name of the parameter? So I'm saying take parameters. Okay. So parameters, and there can be a lot of parameters, right? For this, it has to use a parameter by name that we have given. Okay. This is the parameter. Now let me run this and let's see what happens. Okay. I just created one simple parameter to create a storage account. So now when I run this, it should ask me to give the name. Okay. So let me run this. So if there is already resource group, right, it will not create a resource group. You see, it is asking name for the template. Okay, let me give some random name. I'm giving enter. So this will actually create a storage account with the name that we have given as a input. Now if you see here, we are able to see this has successfully ran. Okay, now it has taken the name of the storage account from the input that we have given. Okay, you see it has used this resource group new demo 1. It has used this deployment. It is successful. The name is string. It has taken the value of the string that we have given. Okay, now let me go to my Azure console and check whether it is created or not. Let me go to my Azure console here. Let me refresh this. You see, this is the storage account that I have created, right? So like this, now this is a reusable template. Every time there is no need for me to write the code to create a storage account. If I just run this template any number of times, okay, it will ask me to give a input parameter and it will only accept strings. Okay, now let me show you that. Okay, let's say I'm running this again. It will ask me for a, it is asking me name for the template. If I give enter, let's see what happens. If this takes as a string, it will work. Okay, let us wait for a second here. Okay, it worked. What happened here was that it didn't take this 5, 6, 7, 8 as numbers. It has taken as a string. So it has created this. Okay, now let me do this. Let me run this. And I'll give only two uh, two letters because the minimum length we have mentioned three, right? But I'll just give two and let's see what happens. You see, it is throwing error. Let's say I'll give more than 27. Okay, and enter. It is saying it is too long. So whatever we have mentioned the conditions here, it will take the inputs only for that. Okay, that is how we can give parameters. Now let's say if I go to the code again, so we have given minimum this thing. So now let's say if I want to see like if I want to add more parameters, we can go to the documentation and we can check that. Let me show that for you guys. Let me go to my browser. Okay, now if you see, this is Microsoft dot storage accounts. We can create whether BISAP or ARM template or Terraform. I selected Terraform. Now if you go here, you see this is the complete parameters. Okay, so many are there. So now let's say I want to take blob yellow axis. Bool is what? That means it should be a boolean value, either true or false. Okay, so these all are different options that we have. We can see which option that we want, and then we can choose that, whether if you want a file, queue, table, etc, etc. There are a lot of options are there. Okay, whichever we want, we can take that. So there is a description about each value also. Let's say type, the resource type, it is this. API version, name, string, required 3 to 24. So that is the reason I have given the required as 3, max as 27. Okay, I should actually in fact give 24, because if I give 25 also, it will not create. Okay, location, it's a string. Okay, tags, default tags. SQ, what is SQ? You can see here. Okay, you see these are the accepted values for SQ. Premium LRS, premium ZRS. Now let's say till now we have given LRS, right? Let me copy this. Premium ZRS. Okay, let me go to my template here. Okay, instead of premium LRS, let me make it as premium ZRS. Okay, now let me run this file again. I have auto save enabled, so it will automatically save. Now after that, if you see, the replication for this would be ZRS. Okay, let that create. And then what is the kind that you want to create a block storage, etc, etc. Okay, extended. So we can basically use all these options and create the template with the kind of storage account that we want to create. Let me see whether it has created or not. It is still creating. Let us wait for a minute here. You see, now it has created with this name. And if you see here, okay, now let us go and see about this in our portal. Okay, let me refresh this. What is that? I think this is the one. Let me see the configuration of this. No, this is LRS only. This is not the storage icon. We see there is LRS here. That is not the one. Let's see this. This is also LRS. No, what is the name that we have given? Check here. The name of the storage account is N Hey D with ZRS. Go to storage accounts. We refresh that. You see this one. Now you see the replication, it is ZRS. That is how we can select the configuration that we want with the help of a documentation. All right, nobody remembers everything. So if you have to create this, you need to go through this documentation. With the help of the options that we have to select, we can select, and that is how you parameterize to you reuse this templates. All right. Now, by using this parameters file, we can create reuse this template. Now let us say if I have to create multiple storage accounts, like if I want to create 3 storage accounts at the same time, can I use this template? Yes, we can use this template. How to do that? Let me create a different file for that. I'll say 3 copy.json. That so I'm creating a template to create 3 storage accounts at the same time. Now how I need to do that? As usual, ARM, select ARM. Okay, now go to resources. Now here the catch is we should be, let's go here. First of all, let's select our resource. Our resource is storage, right? Now here, the storage account name cannot be same for everything, right? Even if you give parameters, you'll be choosing the same storage account name. But I don't want a same storage account name. Then how can I do that? Let me use some of the inbuilt functions of this. There's a function called as concat. Okay. Now what this concat function will do, I'll say copy. There is another function called as copy index. Okay, copy index. Okay, why it is not giving me the suggestions? There is some issue. Let me okay, let me delete this. Here, let me give. You see, there are a lot of functions that we can use. One of the function is called as concat. Let me use this concat function. And in this function, what all other functions that you can see? I'll say copy. Okay, you see, this is this is the function that I want to use. Okay, and put a comma, and I'll give the name for 3 accounts. So now what it will do, it will take this name for 3 accounts as the common name, and it will take the numbers, copy index, 1 name for 3 accounts, 2 name for 3 accounts, 4 name for 3 accounts. It will generate in that particular manner. Okay. Now there is an error. Where is the error? Okay, now let me use another function here called as copy. You see, this function copy is there, and I want to give a key value pair. So the name that I'm going to give here is storage copy. And how many I want to give? I want to give 3, right? Count 3. So we need to put a comma here. Count is 3. Okay. Now everything is fine. So because I have given a copy index, how many times I have to copy? 3 times I have to copy. Okay. That is what I have given. Okay. Now in our PowerShell script, let us change the file name. File name is 3 copy JSON. It has to run. Let's go here. Let me change the name of the file. It is 3 copy .json. That is the file. Okay. Now let me run this again. Now it should create 3 storage accounts at the same time. Okay, let us wait for a moment and check. It is running in the background. Just give it a minute. It is still running. It is going to create 3 storage accounts for us. Okay, now it ran successfully. Now let us go to the storage accounts here. Okay, let's refresh. It's not displayed yet. Let's wait for a moment. Yeah, now you see it is showing 1 name for 3 accounts, 2 name for 3 accounts. Okay, one more has not showed yet. You see, 0 name for 3 accounts, 1 name for 3 accounts, 2 name for 3 accounts. If I give 4, it will show another three name for two accounts. So basically, this copy index, basically what it is doing, whatever name that we have given, before that, it is adding the index 0, 1, 2, so that they get a unique name. Okay. And here we are saying copy this, we can give any name, and count we are giving it as 3. Okay. That is how we can create multiple storage accounts with one script itself. Okay. Now let's go to this file again. Now what we'll do next, now here we are creating storage account, right? Now let's say I want to create one VNet also, but I don't want a different script. I want to use the same template for that. Okay. Now what we can do here, so this is in resources, inside the square bracket, we have one resource, right? This is all about one resource. Okay. Let me give a comma here, enter. I want to create another resource. Okay. Now you see here we can select another resource. Let's say here, I want to give a VNet. Let me search for virtual network. You see, this is a VNet. Now for here, a VNet also, all the mandatory information, the name of the virtual network. Okay. Uh, what is the IP addresses? Let's say I want to give here IP addresses as 16. Okay. If I want to give a subnet, okay, what is the IP address of a subnet? Let's say it should be 16.0/1. Okay. And subnet to 16 2. If I want to add another subnet, I can add another subnet. All right. Now, what name it will take? It will take the name as virtual network. But I want that to ask me as a prompt, as a parameter. Then what I can do, I can go to the parameters here. Okay. In this parameters, this name is one. Okay. Let me put a comma and enter. Let me give this as, okay, let me give this as VNet. Okay. And colon. Okay. And enter. So basically I'm giving here also parameters. Let's say what is this? Type should be, I want the input as a string only, right? It should accept only strings. Let's say string. And I'll give minimum length is, uh, let's say minimum length is 5, and let's say max length is 24. Okay, if you want metadata description, we can write that. As of now, I don't want to give any metadata description. That is fine. Okay. Now, basically, I'm saying VNet, these are the parameters. Now, what should I do here? Now, let me go to VNets, like how we have given here parameters. Let me copy this. Okay. And, okay, in fact, let me copy this whole thing. Parameters, VName, etc. And let me give it in the name of a VNet. Okay. But what parameter we have to use here? We have to use a parameter called as VNet. Okay, let me use the parameter VNet here instead of name. Name is a parameter for storage account, right? This parameter I want to give it for VNet. Okay, now if you see, there are no errors. Okay, let me run this and check. Okay, now it should ask me two parameters. One, the name of the storage account name. It should also ask me the name of VNet, what it should give. Let me run this. So this is basically, in this I need to change my file name. I want to use the file name as sjson. This is my template file, sjson. Okay, and let me run this. It is asking name for the template. This is a storage account name that we want to give. New account 3 sorry, 4 file, some random name actually. Enter, and it is asking me the name for VNet. My first VNet ARM. Okay, enter. And then now basically from this template, it is going to create a storage account as well as it is going to create one VNet. Let us see that. This may take about 1 or 2 minutes. So basically, we just ran one template. So if this template was not there, first I need to go into storage accounts. I need to select all those options, select option create, and then go to another tab where it says VNet and select all those options and then create VNets. But here in just one template, all that I did is just ran one simple PowerShell file. And then what it did within 2 minutes, it has created two resources. One is a storage account and second is a virtual network. Let me go there and check. Let's go for review, refresh. You see, what is the storage account name? The storage account name is new act 4 file. New act 4 file. You see, the storage account is there here. Okay, let's go to VNets, virtual networks, and you see my first VNet ARM. We can see that here, and inside this we'll also able to see the subnets. We created two subnets, subnet 1, subnet 2. You see the IP CIDR for the subnet is 16.0 dot this one 16.0.2, whatever we have mentioned in our on template. Okay, now let's take it to the next step. Now what I want to do, let me go here. I also want to create another resource called as virtual missions. Okay, now where is the end of this resource? So you see this resource, whatever is there here, it is one resource. Okay, storage account, whatever is there from here, it is a another resource. We created virtual networks. In the virtual networks there are two child resources, subnets. Now let us create another resource. So you see, this is where you should take, not in this one, not inside this, outside this. Okay, let's say we created a subnet. Let me take it down. Okay, let's go here, put a comma because we want to create another one. Enter. Let me give a square bracket and it is asking what is that you want to create. Let's say I want to create a virtual machine as well. Okay, you see a Windows Ubuntu, I want to create a Windows mission, virtual machine with a Ubuntu OS on it. Select this. Okay. Now, when I gave this, it gave me hell lot of code here. You see, there are a lot of parameters here. Now, let us see what is this one by one. Now, if you see here, what it has done first, this is the first one, not this. Okay, this is the VNet code that we have developed. Now, here. Now, first thing, what it has done, it has created a storage account. Okay, for this virtual machine VM. Okay, and then it has created a public IP address. We need a public IP address, right? It has created a public IP address. Okay, and it is saying that attach the to Ubuntu VM1. And then it has created an NSG. We know what is an NSG. It has created some rules, the TCP 22, that SSH rule, everything should be allowed. And it has created a virtual network for this. Okay, and it has taken a default IP address. It has added subnets. Okay, and then it has created one network interface and IP config for network interface. And finally, it has created a Ubuntu virtual machine. Okay, and it has said in this Ubuntu virtual machine, it depends on the this network interfaces. Okay, and it has given us the VM size as standard A2 A1. Okay, the name is this, admin username is this. We can change the admin username here. Let's say I'm giving the admin username as this. Okay, password I'll give the password as, okay, this is the password. And then it has attaching one disk, okay. And yeah, if you see here, you see the VM storage, everything is given here to this particular virtual machine, okay. Now let us go ahead and run this file. So now what will happen? Now one storage account, one VNet, one virtual machine will create this. Now in the future we'll see how to, for this virtual machine, how to give the network that we have created. But as of now I'm using the default network that is coming with the script by default itself. Now let me run this again. Enter. Now it will ask me for a storage account name, new account for demo, VNet name, new VNet. I'm giving some random name. Now let us see what all resources it will create. So the point I want to make is, if you create these templates, deployment failed for validation, the storage account name should be unique, right? That has already been taken by somebody else. So let us give a unique storage account name. New account for temp demo AR. Enter. VNet, new demo VM1. Enter. Now here I just change the username and password that we log in. Again, deployment is failed. What is that? Okay, this Ubuntu one storage. So it is actually creating a storage here also, right? Storage account for Ubuntu also, right? Let's see here. Um, yeah, it also creating a storage account here, and it is saying that it's already used. Okay, now let me give unique one. Instead of storage, I'll give store 23E. Okay, let us make it unique. And wherever we have used, we should also change that. Okay, let me copy this name. Okay, we see we have given the storage account name here in the code. Let me give the storage account name that we are the change name. Okay, and let me run this now. See, it's always just I have to run that. I have to change the code and run the file. That's it. New account for demo 23ER F, some random name I'm giving to make sure it is unique. New VNet for demo AR. Okay, now this template should create three resources for. It is creating in the backend. Let's wait for a minute. Okay, now this is what it is. Okay, let me go and check whether a virtual mission is created or not. Let's go here. Go to virtual missions. You see? Okay, let me run this again. It has not popped up. Let us wait for a moment. This will take few minutes for that to be displayed here. Okay, we'll revisit here to see whether that is displayed here. Let me go to storage and see whether that Ubuntu storage has created or not. You see here Ubuntu 1 store 23 is created. Okay, so it will take a couple of minutes for the virtual machine to be displayed. We will see that, but before that, let us go ahead and do another hands-on exercise. We will create something called as a web app here. Okay, there is another resource on Azure which is called as web app. Let's see how to create a web app. Now let me go to my Visual Studio Code and let me create a new file here. I'll say web app.json. Okay, now it's very easy to create. You see, now it is very easy to create. Let me go to ARM, select this. Now go to resources. So now if I have to create a web app, it is dependent on another resource on Azure called as app service plan. And to create an app service plan, let us search. There's something called as dot plan. You see, now this has come. Now let me change the name. Okay, let me put the name as new demo app plan 23. Okay, this is the name that I have given. Let's say 23J to make sure it is unique. Okay, now I have created the app service plan. Okay, this is one resource. Now we have to create a web app itself, right? Comma, enter another resource. So ARM hyphen web. So this is a web app. Now if you see here, there is something called as depends on. So this web app is depends on the app service plan. So here, what is my app service plan that I'm going to create? This is the app service plan. If you want, we can parameterize that as well. I'll show. So I'm giving a app service plan here. Okay, so that depends on this, and here also give the web form as a app service form. Okay, and now here let's say I want to give parameters. I want to give a name as a parameter. Let's select this, select option parameters, and let's say I'm going to give a parameter name as name. Okay, let me choose this. Let me go to parameters here, enter. Okay, enter a parameter saying name. Okay, I'll not give a lot of types. I'll just give uh, type. Okay, it should be string. That's it. If I want, I can mention all other things, but I'll just take it as name is a parameter. And where is the name defined? Name is defined for the web app here. Okay, this is the name that I want to take it by default. Now let me run this. Enter, run. Okay, take this and run. See, it is asking for a web app name. My web app for demo 12R. Enter. I'm giving that name because it should be globally unique. I doubt if somebody else must be already using. That is the reason I'm trying to give a globally unique name. So it is basically creating a web app behind the screens. This would take another minute for the web app to be created. Now you see the web app has been successfully created. Let me go to the Azure portal and check that. Okay, now if you see in the app service plan, we have app services and a web app that is created. Now we can click on the web app, okay, and select option browse. You see, there will be a default page that will be coming up. Okay, so now this is basically a platform PaaS service on Azure. So normally, if I use infrastructure as a service, I purchase a server, On top of server, I'll make it as a web server and then put the code, right? But if you create this, Azure is providing the platform. You don't need to worry about anything else. All that you need to do is that it supports Node.js, Java, and .NET. You just have to go to deployment center and deploy your code. Okay. Rest you need to no need to worry about anything else. That is about how to create a web app on by using Azure ARM templates. So similarly, you can create any infrastructure that you want in only one template. So we can add all the virtual machines, network, subnets, databases, everything that you want to create to this particular network. Now let's say if you want to create a database, okay, let me go here, create a new one. I'll say sql.json. Okay, go to this file, very simple, type in ARM, okay, and then go to resources. Now type ARM and hyphen, let's say SQ. It is showing me the SQL database. Okay. Now let us leave everything as default. And in this PowerShell, I need to give the name of the file as SQL. Okay. And then come here. Let me run this. So basically now this is creating a SQL database for us. Okay, deployment failed because the name is invalid. Then I think the name is already there. Let me go here. Let's say the name is 1Q and database name is also 1WQ. Okay. Um, this depends on SQL Server 1. So let me put the name as Q here because that is depend on this. Okay. And yeah, rest all I can leave for defaults. So you have to see what are the mandatory components. If there is any value that it requires a unique name, if you use the template, that name most probably be used by others. You see, this is succeeded. Now let us wait for a moment. Oh, it is again failed. Okay, why deployment template while the resource is not defined in the template? Okay, where is that? Okay, see here, I didn't change it here. It is Q. Okay, this is SQL Server. Database is WQ. Okay, let me run this. Okay, now if you see, this has successfully created. If we go into that and we can see the databases. Okay, now let's say I'm taking this code here. Now let's say I don't want to connect to my Visual Studio Code and deploy this template. Now, if you don't want to deploy from Visual Studio Code, can't you deploy that? Now let me take this. This is a simple code. Well, let me take this. I think this is more simpler than anything. Let me copy this code. There are multiple ways to deploy this ARM templates also. One is we saw how to deploy that from a Visual Studio Code. The next thing, let me go to Azure portal. Okay. We can say templates. You see there's something called as templates. Go to templates there. Okay. We can also select this option called as create a template here. Can say new template, some description, ARM template. Now you see, we can put our code here. select add. Okay, you can put a code and select add. It is saving. Template is getting saved. Okay. Now let's say you see there's something called as deploy a custom template. You can go there also. Okay. And then we can say quick start template or as template specifications. Or you see there's an option called as create a your own template here and copy this, save. Okay, and then we can give the resource group here. The resource group, let's say I'm going to give it as my new RG region. We can select review and create. So the code, it's not mandatory that we need to run from the Visual Studio code only. Once the code is created, you can come here and run this. So there's some mistake in the code. Okay, but there is some error while I'm copying, but that's okay. So that is how basically you can run a code from the Azure console itself. All right, I recommend you guys to do a hands-on session on this session, on this all exercises, then it will be more clear for you guys. All right, see you guys in the next class. Take care.